Can I just say something that I think might be of interest? I've just wrote an article. I don't really write that many articles anymore, and I've been left alone to just write about what I wanted to do rather than the editor coming out with what he thinks you should do, because I find that terrible and boring. And anyway, I was thinking back to things that have been sort of key things that I'd seen in my angling life over 40 years, basically. One of the most amazing things was in the early days of the herring, we were catching a lot of fish that you'd never caught previous, obviously, you know, 10 times more fish. So we started catching them in the winter when it was normally impossible. You know, everyone used to pack it in because you couldn't catch them. But with the hare, we started catching them. Anyway, I won't go on too much about that. But what we realised was that they were really feeding, very active in the winter, where we thought they used to slow down. Of course, not the same as in the summer. But then we got Kevin Mannix's Carp fever book, and we started noticing that a lot of captures came down to peanuts. And it's almost like you're a criminal if you mention peanuts, because of all Tim Paisley's campaign against them and all the rest of it. And of course they're abused peanuts, or they were in the past, and can absolutely ruin fisheries if everyone's on them and they, you know, use too much. But we thought, oh, Maddox has had this fish out of here and that, and a peanut in the winter. So we thought, right, let's get a load of peanuts. So we went to various waters and started introducing peanuts, and they were dead instant. And we couldn't believe how much better in the cold temperatures they were than boilies. So we went on a runs water. We'd had a big freeze up, and all the lakes were gone for about 4 or 5 weeks. We were gagging to get out. And then we went to this place called the Ocean in Winsford, and it's a runs water, you know, but it was part frozen. We got there, Bernard Loftus is there, my old mate Bernard, and all his crowd. All you seen was a big haze of smoke. Anyway, so they're fishing away, and they're all using boilies. And we took about 10 kilo of peanuts. We thought, let's try it in here. So they're getting the occasional run. So we start spraying the peanuts in with the catapults, me and my mate. I think we had about 30 runs each. In the end, old Loftus is round, sniffing round, you know, trying to find out what we're using. And I says, don't show them, whatever happens, don't let them see anything. We're making sure there was no nuts on the floor every time. You know, we got a fish on the start coming towards us, so we're playing them like maniacs. Anyway, that was a real eye-opener, that. And I bet nobody in this room is using peanuts at the moment. Or hands up anyone that's on peanuts. Right, okay.
I'm using a boilie at the moment, but it's a peanut-based boilie.
Okay, but yeah. What I'm saying is, I'm just illustrating a point. That's why I wrote this article, that it's very easy to get wrapped up in using either maggots or else boilies, but there's things in between that we've almost forgotten about completely, and the old peanut is absolutely brilliant. And I'll probably get my balls cut off for mentioning this, you know, when they actually think, well, oh, he's brought up the peanuts again, you know. Or it's worth thinking about.
I think if you I'd be fair in saying, if you source them from a reputable supplier, good supplier,
yeah,
and you prepare them properly, and you use them sparingly, and don't go putting out kilos and kilos. I think the secret with peanuts is to use them sparingly, isn't it?
Yeah, as me just said, we turned up with 10 kilos.
Yeah, but 10 kilos, well, 10 kilos isn't very much.
But I'll just tell you a quickie, is that we didn't use 10 kilos. We didn't use 10 kilos, we used about 9 kilos actually. And, but the thing that happened was, I'll just tell you this quick, I didn't want them to see all these nuts that we'd got, and I'd got quite a lot left at the end of the day. And it's bit of a slap to the car. Anyway, the old farmer's dog comes over, a big Labrador, big fat white lab. And I says, it's sniffing for food, and I says, I'll try it with a few peanuts. So the old dog's eating the peanuts like a maniac, head in the bucket. I thought, this is great, I won't have to carry him back to the car at this rate. And it was dead obedient, this dog. It had enough. It pulled its head out and went, come on, get your dinner. And it had its head back in the peanuts again. Anyway, it stuffed about 1 kilo of peanuts. And you could see its gut swollen and all that. It staggered off. We went back a week later, and this bloke, you know, was the farmer, says to me, he goes, Jesus Christ, he says, I don't know what happened here, he says, but he says, the farmer's dog's trashed his gaff. He says, what happened? He says, the dog staggered in and shit itself all over the house, and he said, there's peanuts everywhere. Let's get back to the fishing bit.
We were talking about winter fishing, weren't we? When you were talking about peanut, I used peanuts years ago when it was the peanut revolution or peanut boom first came about. And did you ever use peanut butter? We used to coat the hook bait in peanut butter before we used to cast them out.
I've done that, yeah.
Another alternative to use, where nuts aren't used at the moment, is shelled Brazils, half Brazils, quarter Brazils. They're another good winter bait, aren't they?
Brilliant bait, buoyant as well.
Yeah. Any other questions we'd like for?
I already spoke to Frank about Pitmere earlier. I'm just asking if you know any more. It's gone blank. Any guys any more about the water?
You want to know about what waters in the northwest?
Yeah.
I suppose it's not very specific for a lot of the guys in here, is it? But,
No.
I mean, how long have you got that? I've tried every bit of blue on the map.
Right.
You know, I suppose Gaz has as
Yeah.
well, you know.
Yeah, okay.
But it's...
I'm not that old.
No.
I'll think of one and then I'll tell you in a minute. Because it's not fair to the rest, really, just to talk about a specific area, I think.
We've got anything we want to ask the panel on? What about rigs for this time of the year? What are they doing on? Don't be shy.
Hi guys, it's probably more appropriate to Frank because you've written about the singles, fishing single baits as pop-ups in the past, appropriate in the winter, but what rig do you use for fishing your single pop-ups, and what sort of areas do you aim at?
Well, obviously I was like quite heavily involved with the single hook bait thing and all the rest of it, but I've got to be honest with you, I really struggle to catch a fish on it anymore. Really struggle with it. It's like it's turned completely on its head, and I still sort of give it a bash now and again, but it's nothing like what it was. It's lost that magic that it used to have, you know, when it was quite unique. I mean, I know there is places where it'll work still, but I don't change my rigs so much from winter to summer, me. You know, I think, well, if it's good enough for them in the summer, why should you, you know, they've not suddenly become more intelligent. I know the water clears off a lot in the winter, so the only thing I might do occasionally is change to, I mean, Gaz has been writing about it with the fluorocarbon with a small bit of braid on the end, but I still use the long shank hooks. I don't, you know, you read everywhere, oh, fine everything down in the winter, but I don't. I still tend to use 25-pound hook lengths and all the rest of it, you know.
Isn't it true, actually, that their eyesight is worse in cold water?
Apparently so, yeah. It affects the, it contracts the lens or the eye, doesn't it, Gaz?
Apparently, yeah. According to Simon Scott, that's what I'm going off. But yeah, apparently, ironically, their eyesight is actually a lot worse in the winter because of the cold. So, and I guess that makes partial sense of why the really bright baits and that might seem to work slightly better in the winter because they're so much brighter. They're just easier to find, you know, if their eyesight's not as good. Don't know.
I'll tell you something though that is worth doing. I bet every single person that tries single hook baits, and like I was saying earlier, uses yellow. I mean, I've got sucked into the same thing. I've wrote about that in the article as well. That even though 20 odd years later from using singles, you think that you know